Hey, welcome to the channel. This is Greg. I'm your host on this channel, and on this channel we talk about markets and investment to make you a better investor. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about something that relates to a lot of other videos that we've made, and that is, what the bleep is engine number one? Now, for those of you who have been watching this channel, and even those of you who haven't, we have talked extensively about many different companies that I have invested in and that I recommend to my subscribers that they recommend, of course, after they do their own research. But one of the companies that we've talked extensively about on this channel is none other than Exxon Mobil. Now, Exxon Mobil was an opportunity that I began to focus on last year, 2020, after the enormous crash of the oil and gas business, coincident with the pandemic that came in. And we identified an opportunity as this stock as a turnaround and also as a way to play the reopening. And we recommended it at $33 a share. It has since basically doubled, and at the time that we recommended it, there was a 10.4% dividend yield, which was extremely attractive. And so on a total return basis, it's been an absolutely fabulous investment. I've also expressed the views, and I'll put these videos below and also up here for you to look at, where I think that the stock still has a lot more to go. When the economy's hitting on all cylinders. I believe oil prices are going considerably higher from here. Goldman has it at $80 a barrel. I think it could go as high as $100 a barrel before everything is said and done. But in any case, I see, and I've seen others on CNBC, etc., that share the same view, that we could see Exxon going to $100. But a little while back, there was a little bit of fly in the ointment here, and something came into everybody's radar screen here that owns Exxon, which I know many of you do, and it is called Engine Number 1. Now, what the bleep is Engine Number 1, and why do we care, and what's up with all this, huh? Is Engine Number 1 related to Thomas the Tank Engine? Is Engine Number 1 a firehouse somewhere in Philly? Is Engine Number 1 a new grade of engine oil? No, Engine Number 1, in fact, is a tiny, teensy weensy hedge fund. And that's using the term liberally, right?
Teensy weensy hedge fund.
It's got $240 million of assets. And what it's done basically is it's
gotten 3 major public sector pension funds
interested in piling on
in a proxy battle with Exxon, and it purports to tell Exxon how to do the energy business. Isn't that cute? I mean, it would be funny if it wasn't so ridiculous. So let's start by doing a little research here and figuring out who these bozos are and how is it that they think they're going to tell Exxon Mobil how to do the energy business under the guise of woke, virtue signaling, Green New Deal ideas. Okay? Let's take a little look right now and we'll figure it out right here and now. Okay, so I found a website that talks about their 13F filing, okay? And if you're not sure what that is, 13F filing is a quarterly filing that all, quote, hedge funds, or any entity that's registered as a hedge fund, has to disclose any changes in their ownership and basically what their ownership is on a quarterly basis. So from the 13F summary, we can sort of figure out what these guys are all about, okay? Now, I'm not gonna, I don't mean this analysis as a personal attack to the guys who started this hedge fund. Just because they're small doesn't mean they're bad. I've started things and been small before, and it didn't mean that I was bad. But the contrast of the significance of these investors versus the size and scope and breadth and experience of Exxon is really astonishing, and it's also extremely humorous, but it shows you the extent of how this climate change, Green New Deal, woke culture has really infiltrated literally every facet of society today in the United States. And this is really an example of how this is true, and how another trend that's happening is that many of the iconic energy companies are suffering under this pressure to, in my view, dilute shareholder value and make forays into areas that are not proven to make returns, and taking them off target in terms of focusing on their main business, which is what they should be focusing on, and which is what will produce the greatest shareholder value. And many of these companies are taking climate change very seriously anyway, so it makes it even more ridiculous. Okay, so as you can see here, take a look at this, Engine No.1 LLC. Okay, they're based in San Francisco, figures, and they have two clients. They have two clients. It's amazing. And they have discretionary assets under management of $240 million. Now, that's amazing, I got to tell you. Just to put this in perspective, I have clients, individuals that are worth more than that, okay? And so this is extremely unimpressive to me in terms of their size and complete insignificance in the financial world. Let's take just a quick look at their holdings. Okay, and you can see up at the top here, they only have they only own like 14 or 15 stocks, right? And Exxon is their largest holding, 917,000 shares. Wow. And that's worth $51 million. Holy crap. You can see some of the other things they own here. Square Inc. Ooh, GM. Wow, that's innovative. What is this one? AP Aptiv. I don't even know what that is. Microsoft. Shopify. Amazon. Wow, that's original. All right, so basically, it's just a pool of money where they're I guess buying and managing stocks, because I guess whoever invests in their hedge fund can't figure out how to invest in stocks. All right, so they're doing what they're doing. The interesting thing here is, let's see if I can find out the insiders, private ownership. All right, the principals here, David Payne Swift, Jennifer Grancio, and it's not important who they are, but what is important over here is their ownership in the fund in all cases their principal ownership in the fund is less than 5%. Okay? So obviously, and there's nothing wrong with this, but just so we all understand what we're looking at here, we have some individuals that probably worked at an investment bank or an investment company. They decided, I'm going out on my own. I'm just saying this might not be true, but they might be in their early 30s, mid 30s, late 30s, whatever. They just started this thing up. This thing is a startup, okay? And what they've really been able to do, which is, a credit to them, but it's really just putting two and two together and connecting the dots, is look at, because their investment in Exxon, I think their original investment was $40 million. I mean, it's insignificant, right? It's a rounding error. It means nothing. But what they were able to do is they were able to get these public sector, emphasis on public sector, virtue signaling, Green New Deal, oil and gas bad. Look what we have here. We have the California Public Employees Retirement Fund. Okay, you can imagine how they vote. The California State Teachers Retirement System, exact same thing, a clone. And then the New York State Common Retirement Fund, which is another public sector pension fund, right? Now they all own Exxon, right? Because everyone owns Exxon. If you have a portfolio where you're managing your assets properly and you're diversifying, which all these pension funds do, you're going to own Exxon, right? So what Engine No.1 did was they went around and had meetings with these pension funds and convinced them, hey, we're going to start a proxy fight with Exxon and force them to put, environmentally friendly people on the board. And of course, because of who these people are, they said, that is a great idea. Sign me up. We'll vote with you in the proxy battle. All right? So this is what happened, and this is why they're getting attention. And of course, the media laps this stuff up. They love this stuff. I mean, Exxon Mobil is like one step below Trump in terms of hatred. The oil and gas companies are hated. But remember, this is Johnny D's company, man. This is Johnny D we're talking about. John D. Rockefeller. This is his company. This company's been in business for hundreds of years. This company is the Mac Daddy of oil and gas companies. It's a great investment. And the last thing you want to have happen is to have a bunch of climate crusaders on the board, which is going to try to force them to go into unprofitable areas, which is going to merely dilute their basic mission, which is providing energy to the world. Okay, now before we have further discussion on this, I want you to take a quick look at an interview with Darren Woods. Darren Woods is the CEO of Exxon. He is a stud of studs, and he will tell you on this interview, and all kidding aside, Exxon has been committed to reducing carbon emission for a number of years, and in fact, they have the most robust carbon capture technology of any company, and they take this very seriously. They recently formed a division to basically focus on this. So take a look at this, and then I'll come back with some comments.
ExxonMobil's investor meeting is May 26th. The company facing increasing activist pressure. Of course, Engine No. the activist in question, with support from pension funds seeking 4 board seats. Joining us now is in a CNBC exclusive is Darren Woods, the chairman and CEO of ExxonMobil. Darren, it's great to have you back. And I do want to start off on, what's less than 2 weeks away now, that shareholder vote on your board nominees, because this morning we got a report from ISS the influential proxy advisory firms. And they're in support of 3 of the 4 dissidents. Let me read this to you and get your response if I can. They say in their conclusion that additional board change is needed to provide shareholders with sufficient confidence in the sustainability of Exxon's business, an immediate concern, and one that should arguably take precedence in the order of operations over an assessment of the general sustainability of the industry. Give me your response to what we've heard this morning from ISS.
Well, good morning, David. It's good to be with you. And obviously, we disagree with that recommendation. If you look at our board, we've got one of the strongest boards in corporate America, one that we have been refreshing fairly regularly since I came in 2017. We've brought on 6 new board members. That's over half the board. We've got board members that have extensive experience running global complex businesses, capital-intensive businesses that are grounded in science and technology. A lot of experience in managing companies, large companies, through significant transitions. We've got shareholder perspective, industry perspective, a lot of capital allocation perspective. So we feel very strongly that we have the board in place to help manage this company, not only drive success in today's environment, but position the company for longer-term success as the industry transitions. And I think we're seeing that actually with the results of the first quarter as we managed through the pandemic period. And we see the results of the work that we did last year and the work that we've been engaged in since 2017 in reshaping the business, investing in high return projects, driving simplicity in our business, gaining synergies, and reducing costs. And all those are coming together today. We're seeing those in our first quarter results and quite frankly feel very good about the future that lies ahead of us. Yeah, and we've had a bit of that conversation, of course, when you joined us not that long ago. And I want to talk more about that. But on this specific fight, because that's kind of what it is. I mean, when they say Exxon Mobil, to your point, or at least about the experience of the board, has for years filled its board with former CEOs without any energy experience, which does seem to be at least behind some of this ISS recommendation. How do you respond to that? I think the challenge in this space is understanding the technology that's going to be required to drive the industry forward and to support society's ambition to transition the energy system to a less carbon-intensive energy system. So there's I think, a lot of work in terms of thinking about the company, the advantages the company has, the strengths we have, and how we apply those to successfully transition the company as society moves to a lower carbon future. And frankly, the board that we have today has a good understanding of that, understands the complexity associated with moving a business like ourselves through that transition. And as I said, if you look at the plans that we've laid out, the technology that we've been investing in to address the sectors in society that are hard to decarbonize, we've got a very good plan, a very good technology pipeline to address not only the challenges today, but the challenges that we see coming forward in the future. Well, let's get to that. I mean, the last time you joined us, of course, we did spend a decent amount of time talking about carbon capture. I had that conversation as well with your board member, Jeffrey Ubben, not long ago as well. But, specific, Darren, to some of the criticism still. For example, Engine 1 says even by your own limited standards, you've actually gone backwards when it comes to upstream emission intensity. They say Exxon Mobil has gone backwards, aims to do worse in 2025 than 2010. Upstream emission intensity has worsened over the last decade, increasing 26%. Put that in perspective for people so that we can understand at least your perspective on that statistic. Well, we've been very supportive of the efforts globally and within the industry to reduce our carbon intensity and carbon emissions. If you look at the progress the company's made since the Paris Agreement has come out, which we supported at the time it came out and supported it, has been very vocal in our support since then. We've reduced emissions through 2020 from 2016 by 11%. We've got plans in place today that drive emissions down even further and frankly put us on the path consistent with the Paris ambitions and the less than 2 degree C scenarios. And so I think we've done a lot of work to reduce emissions. More importantly, If you look at what's going to be required for society to achieve the Paris ambitions, there are a number of sectors in the economy, critical to the economy and critical to people's lifestyles, that are going to be very hard to decarbonize, that today don't have solutions. We have been working for decades on technologies and the technologies required to address those hard to decarbonize sectors to help society achieve that lower carbon vision. And so I would tell you that work that we have been doing is starting to pay off. You know that we've recently announced a very large opportunity in Houston that can make a significant contribution to the Biden administration's recent announcements of significantly reducing CO2 emissions, make a significant contribution to Houston reaching its net zero by 2050 emissions target. And so I would tell you we've been doing the work within our own operations to reduce emissions and doing the work required by society to help them reduce their emissions.
Okay, so I think that Darren Woods is one of the most competent, knowledgeable, and effective CEOs in the business. I've been very impressed with him, and I have a lot of confidence that he is going to be able to see Exxon through this period of resurgence, and he's a great guy to have at the helm to steer the ship, so to speak, through these waters, both of the proxy fight and of the resurgence of Exxon and creating share value as we move forward. Now, this board meeting is this Wednesday, which is 2 days from now. And look, I don't know how this thing is going to work out. I don't know who's going to win the proxy battle. I don't know if they're going to force these people onto the board or not. I do know that Exxon just added 2 more board members, one with energy experience and the other with climate experience. So it's not like they're completely blowing off these concerns and not dealing with it in a responsible way. But I would trust Darren Wood before I would trust a tiny hedge fund with people who we don't really even know their level of experience, and a bunch of public sector pension funds. So regardless of what happens on Wednesday, I feel confident that it's really not going to have any material effect on Exxon. Exxon is on a trajectory, as I have expressed in other videos, to continue its turnaround. And as the economy opens fully, you're going to see the Exxon stock price go up with oil demand. And you're going to see them not only maintain the dividend, but most likely increase the dividend, which would be
lovely, lovely.
I will meditate on that for a while. So anyway, I hope you liked the video. Check out this one and this one, these 2 videos, which will be of value to you. And I enjoyed making this video, and I hope you got value out of it. If you got value, please like and subscribe. And please hit the bell so you get notified. Okay? Because I'd love you to be on board for future videos, which will be coming your way very soon.